What's up? Let me hear it.
What the fuck?
Come on, you gotta give me what's
up?
So what's up,
I
show?
wasn't ready for that part.
Welcome to episode 32 with What's Up with Nitro Dave. Today, Jeff's not with us. Today, we actually have an in-house visitor, Blake Robinson.
Hey, what's up?
So I brought Blake in to tell his story today, and he's got a fascinating story. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about bottle safety, something many of you guys do not want to hear, but you should hear. So let's see. Let's get started. Where do I want to dig into this at, Blake?
You gotta work me in, so
Yeah.
I gotta be comfortable. So
I am definitely going to work you in there. So I have a battle that I've been battling. Really, I think it started at your accident, 2009. Well, I'm not going to say that's when it started, but that's whenever I realized it was time to do something.
Gotcha.
For years, we've preached not to torch your bottle, to recertify your nitrous bottles, for safety reasons.
Got it.
And for years, racers have said, well, I've always torched my bottle. There's nothing wrong with it if you know what you're doing, right? And you walk into pits and you see bottles that are 10 years out of certification, and they don't realize there's a time bomb sitting right there. And so the fight here is that whenever you take a open flame and you hold it to a nitrous bottle, it changes the chemical structure, the medical structure, or composition of the bottle. And it weakens it. And it continuously does that.
Yep.
And so it can create microfiber cracks inside the bottle. We've seen bottles here with the bottle trade-in program that have been that way. We're fortunate that 2 blocks up the road, we have a facility that hydro tests bottles and recertifies them.
Yep.
And the process is very unique. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to follow up this podcast with going down there and doing a podcast with them and doing the testing procedure so people can just see what goes on there.
Yep.
This morning, I ran a quick report just using ChatGPT before we get into telling your story, because what I come into with people, especially at the racetracks all the time, the Dallas area is the worst, where they just think it could never happen to me, and they're very naive in the fact that not only is their life in jeopardy, everyone around them's life is in jeopardy. And where this really frustrates me is that the racetracks have the ability and the muscle to stop this. They could easily say, if you're part of the certification check, if your bottle is torched, you're not racing with it. If I see a torch on your golf cart, you're off the premises. And they could easily not put their employees' lives at risk by having them fill these bottles that are out of date. Pressure bypasses have been blocked off or torched. And so what people don't realize is that everybody on that starting line where that car rolls up, their life is at risk. And the racetrack has put their life at risk, and it's a matter of time before somebody dies at the racetrack. Well, they have.
Yeah.
But
Several.
it's a matter of time before there's a crowd around the car and a bunch of innocent bystanders die. And it's all because people don't want to buy a $120 nitrous heater. They just won't get to the next level of safety. And so our mission today is to open their eyes to just how many people have been hurt that we know that haven't been paid off to be quiet. All right, so, and we're going to talk about that because people have no clue what's really going on. I know it's weird to hear a nitrous manufacturer saying this, but I want you guys out using our product and being safe doing it. I don't want you dying. I don't want you getting injured. I don't want you to go through what Blake has went through.
Exactly.
And there is no other way to drive this home than to keep driving it. And, I've pushed and pushed. And I was proud this weekend. I had a customer that came to the trailer with, nitrous outlet bottles, and they were all torched. And I was obviously told him we couldn't fill it, and I was playfully giving him, a hard time. And he had the guy with his crew that has to torch the bottle with him. And I talked to him, man, let's just put a bottle heater on it and put new bottles in the car. And he goes, you know what? Let's do it. I've been meaning to do it. Let's do it. And right there, they changed their entire program. And the guy that's been torching the bottle was like, thank you. Yeah. And so, that's just one of those thoughts. And I go to these racetracks and I see the bottles in these cars. And it is mind-blowing that anybody would put their employee in the predicament of filling that bottle. And so, and it's not just our area. It's racetracks across the U.S. There are some tracks that will not, I can't remember the name of the track, and he's a friend of mine on Facebook. If he sees a torch on your golf cart, you're going home. And so if we could get more guys to do that, everybody would just better their program. And so what people don't realize also, by torching the bottle and creating a quick heat, what it does is it creates a lot of head pressure in the bottle. And so whenever the nitrous solenoid opens, that pressure plummets, right?
Yep. So hit hard and go away.
Yeah, and so what's happening there is it's hitting the tire, but then at the top of the track, that pressure is falling off so quick, your tune-up is going rich, and it's costing you performance at the top. It's costing you mile per hour, it's costing you ET, and it's not consistent. So the guys that are really serious about their race program, the way in which you go about heating your bottle and how you fill your bottle and what pressure you do, all that, and that's a great discussion for another time, but that is a key factor into how consistent your car is and how it repeats the same thing over and over and maximum performance. So not just as a safety issue, it's also a tuning issue and consistency issue if you're not doing it correctly. And honestly, you could spend a few $100s and have a very well put together bottle program. And so before we get into talking about your issue, I used ChatGPT this morning, and it was just a couple of quick things. And I know of some of the accidents that have happened over the years, and I'm gonna bring these up, okay? So, and I didn't put it in order by year, which I should have, and I'm not gonna say their name. 2016, a gentleman at the Florida air gas plant died transferring nitrous from the main bottle over to the bottle that they were filling, okay? And so if you remember, we hit like a big, come on through. Yeah, you're good. So if you remember, we hit like a national nitrous shortage. And the reason why we hit that shortage is because that plant had an explosion that killed somebody. It was a big explosion. It was a tanker truck, and what happened was the pump head overheated, and it caused thermal I can't say the word decomposition, right? And it was just transferring the nitrous, and it killed them. And so what happened there is that created a shortage for the entire industry. And it created a food shortage, for whipped cream, and it created a shortage for doctors and dentists. And us racers, we're the redheaded stepchild. We were definitely in a shortage. And honestly, the industry's never recovered from that. It still is. It's a lack. Some of the bottle fills you get are not filled all the way. It's overpriced, and it's hard to get it. And it started in 2016. So how many years is that now?
Well, it's 2025, 9.
9 years, and we're still fighting that issue. All right, so at South Georgia Motorsports Parks in Georgia on 2010, had a guy warming his bottle. The bottle exploded, and it caused blunt force chest trauma. It killed him.
Yep.
Now, I heard rumors on that one, and I don't know, according to what's online, he was hitting the bottle, okay? How he was heating the bottle, I don't know. But I was also told he tripped coming out of the trailer and it knocked the valve off the bottle and the bottle stabbed him in the chest. I have no clue which one's the right
If
one.
that's the one that I heard about, is that the one that was in the trailer? And they had the bottle warming in the trailer?
I've heard that too.
Yeah, because I heard
I've heard both.
The bottle fell over. When it fell over, it knocked the valve off, and that's when it exited.
It's probably too high of a pressure.
And hit him in the chest.
So that was 2010. 2017 in Michigan, a guy was filling the bottle, and I remember this. It was a drag week guy or something like that, and he had used those compression hose ends.
Compression fitting?
Yeah, and which is highly dangerous, is why we don't use them. It popped off. He was filling a bottle, and what happened is the shutoff valve was on the other end, and the shutoff valve flew up, hit him on the top of the head, and it killed him.
Wow.
So that was due to trauma, to his head. 2018, North Carolina, guy was preparing to fill a bottle, and the tank exploded. There's no real information to why it exploded, but the bottle exploded, okay? And a number of things could cause that. It could be a bottle like this that's being torched. It could be a bottle that was way out of date and it had a structural issue that it started getting worse. I have a bottle upstairs that's never been torched or anything, and you can actually see a hairline issue in the casting of the bottle. So that's the reason why it's important to keep having them hydro tested to see if they're starting to get weak. It could be that they bypassed the burst disc, which we've seen at the racetracks, and plugged it, and he overfilled it, and it had to release somewhere, right? So,
well, even the bottle that you had loaned me when I was wanting to do the bottle inspection and hydrostatically testing deal, and then I ended up losing the footage and stuff. If you remember that bottle, it was a trade-in bottle y'all let me use, and I took it to Gizmo Guru, and it failed the visual inspection. And then as soon as he pulled the valve out, they found cracks in the threads, and then it failed after just the visual inspection. But then when they pressure tested it, it actually passed the first time. Then he did it back to back, and it stayed expanded. It didn't go back as much. So, some of the things that people don't understand is even though a hydrostatic test might clear the bottle, the human factor is still there too.
There's a lot of opinion.
Something like that, it's common sense, and I'm living proof of that.
Yeah. We're going to talk. I'm glad you brought that up because we're going to talk about how some of that test is a judgment call.
Yep.
And that's something that should be considered.
Yep.
2006, Los Angeles, California, a bottle exploded, and it was one fatality, 3 injuries. They were heating the bottle.
Oh, wow.
All right. 1988. All right. This is the OSHA case. The cylinder was venting saline plus nitrous, and the cylinder exploded, 4 fatalities.
Oh, wow. I'd never heard about that. That's going way back.
I mean, either that's way back there. Now, this is a litigation case that was done here in the U.S. It was a shop. Transferring nitrous, had a heating pad on the cylinder, but the cylinder had internal rust in it. So it was a mother bottle. And whenever you look at these mother bottles, they come through, some of them being beat to hell. And whenever we fill these bottles with the pump station, the reason why we have a filter on it is there's rust flakes all in it. So this totally makes sense. So that mother bottle was rusted inside, and it caused a weak cylinder wall, and it exploded. Caused fatality, and it had a $7.5 million settlement.
Oh, wow.
So the guy was probably at work, right? That really puts into perspective the mother bottles that are not being serviced from these places. Yes. And imagine the explosion from a mother bottle.
Oh, no doubt.
Wow.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I know you don't want to jump forward, but where I lived was in a rural area, and I had a friend at the time, as a matter of fact, we're not going to mention his name because not doing it without his permission.
Right.
But his mom and stepdad lived about 2.5 blocks down the road from where I live, and it shook their house when my little 10-pound bottle went off.
And it wasn't even full, right?
No. Whenever we took that bottle out of the car, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead again, I waited, because at the time, you already know this for a fact, and this is one of the things that actually irritated me, and I'll get more in depth later, like you're saying. But anybody that knows me already knows I never once bought a mother bottle. I never once bought a fill station. I'm local to you. It was easier for me to come by on a Thursday or a Friday, drop however many bottles off I wanted for the weekend. And this is even before Nitrous Outlet was the thing. This is whenever you're down the road on
Have the speed shop.
and I was just dumping off in the back door, and you'd be like, hey, I'm going to throw them in the freezer, and you can pick them up after work. And I'd come back by and, grab them, throw them in the back seat of the dually, and just haul butt to the track. But the crazy thing about it is, I actually, and it's nothing against Nitrous or y'all, because you already know I was still helping Brad and several other customers that were your customers with tune-ups on their cars and stuff like that. I was just not in a financial position to be able to afford to do a program like them.
Right.
So I was kind of backing off a little bit and experimenting with alcohol-injected motors, and my next step wanted to be alcohol-injected, blown in my car.
Yeah.
And so whenever I bought the car, it had a nitrous system in it. It looked brand new, and I judged the book by its cover. So needless to say, whenever I pulled it out, I had a scale there. So I weighed it. It had 4.5 pounds in it. And I was just like, well, somebody might want it. I'm just going to throw it under the bench, and we'll go from there. And never
Stop there, we'll come back.
Yeah,
Yep,
I was just
stop
going to say,
there,
but never in my mind
Yep.
you would even think about something that you're dealing with all
Only
the time.
half full would have that much power.
Period.
And that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to make people understand how much power
Yes.
is packed in that bottle.
Gotcha.
So,
I'm sorry, you lost
this
your
one was
spot.
no, that's good. This one was last year. Guy was working on his car. Had from what I've been told, he had a plug brake line, and was using a nitrous line to blow it out. But he was heating the bottle with the torch at the same time, and the bottle ruptured and it killed him. Look, Blake Robinson, Waco, Texas, 2009. Says working on a car, but you weren't. You were working on a transmission, weren't you?
Yeah, actually, I was working on it.
And you were inside your shop, and so we'll touch base on this again here more in a minute. But the bottle exploded, and we're going to go into detail of the damage there.
I got you.
1994, this happened in Alabama. Guy was refilling a 65-pound tank. The tank exploded, and they caused severe injuries and building damage. Now, here's what's crazy. I always hear people say, well, you don't really hear about that much. But since your accident, you've been tracking all this.
I hear quite a bit until I kind of backed off of it, which we'll discuss
Right.
later when I kind of tell my story about
so,
how this affected me.
Yeah, so the frustrating part of this is a fraction of what's actually happened.
Yep.
Because people get paid off to shut up.
Yep.
And so it's a liability. Those people that were injured or killed, they have expenses. And so they sign a gag order not to talk about it. And as a result, they get income to help them out of the bind they were in. And what I don't like about that, I'm glad they got income, but the gag order I don't like, because it's sending a false representation to people that think, well, I've only heard of it happening a couple of times. It ain't going to happen to me. I've been doing this all my life.
Yep.
And it can happen.
Yep.
And honestly, it could be that you weren't even the one that did it, right?
As in my case.
So this is a great example of just some of what ChatGPT pulled up, right? And I've heard of other issues too. I've seen cars that have exploded in garages. I've seen cars that have exploded out in the driveway. What a lot of people don't realize is you may look at a bottle, and this comes to your story, and let's just back up. You may have a bottle that looks brand new, and it's out of date, and it's seen issues in its life that you have no clue over. And a lot of those issues are these late model hatchback cars, like the Mustangs and the Camaros, you know, the Fox bodies and the Fortunes and third gens. That big old glass back there is a magnifying glass. And everybody mounts their bottles right there on the back deck. And sometimes if they have nitrous in it, it'll overpressure and it'll do the disc, and that was great. But then some people just keep them back there all the time and they don't have nitrous in them. And what tends to happen is that beam of light is weakening that bottle. So it's important not to leave these things in a hatchback out there in that light. And there's been a few cars that have exploded because of the car being in the bottle. And technically that should have done it.
Should have.
But we see bottles that come through here where people have plugged them, or they put a new disc in it and left the old one in, you know, a new fitting and left the old one in. If that thing's got a beam of light going through it, maybe it happened before and then they fixed the rupture disc, but now the cylinder wall is weak. That's the dangers of buying a used bottle, even whenever it looks great. So Blake, this is where I really want you to, you know, you're local to me, and we've known each other for a long time. And a lot of people don't realize that our bottle trade-in program was created because of you.
Yep.
And your accident really hit home to me. And I can sit here and talk about everybody's accidents till I turn blue, but people think, oh man, that's bad. And then they go out there and torch a bottle, you know, like, because it wasn't next to them. It wasn't their friend. It wasn't their family. The percentages of it happening are very small. Yeah, the percentages are small, but it only takes one.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like playing Russian roulette.
That's how I view it, right there. You might not get your first time, but you continue to do it. Hey,
Yeah.
And it might not be you. It could be somebody else. It could be, you know, somebody standing next to you and you're like, hey, look, I never went off, and bam,
Well,
stuff happens.
How many racers have their kids running up and down inside the trailer? Or they got the nitrous bottles in the car, right? Especially motorcycle guys, because they got the little bottles and they don't have anywhere to keep them, so they leave them in the cars. And your kids are strapped in the back seat. You know, like, let's really put this into perspective here. There's so many, you're not just putting yourself at risk, you're putting everyone and your loved ones at risk. So you're not gambling on your life and health, you're gambling on theirs as well. And that's, if something happened, if one of these racers had that mentality, it'll never happen, and it killed their kid, they would never be able to live with themselves.
But then again, the whole, the root of the problem is exactly what you just said. Until it happens to you or affects somebody you know or your loved one, they really don't care. And that's the bad thing about it. And I mean, I know you haven't touched on this, but I do want to throw this out there. In my opinion, when I did have my accident, you and Nitrous Outlet, or the people that did approach me and mention about doing the bottle trade-in program, or bottle exchange, I think is what it originated as. And you basically said, hey, we're not even gonna tie it to your name. We're not gonna put your name out there. We're just gonna leave it my friend. And we did that for years. Mm-hmm. And I mean, until you had a little discrepancy with some other people saying it was, I guess, like a marketing ploy or crap or whatever. Yeah. That's when you asked, and I'm like, dude, just put it out there. Put my name out there. I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. Now, when it first happened, yeah, it was uncomfortable, because you yourself know, when my accident first happened, dude, I'm going to show our age. We were still at the point to where the internet was not what it is today.
Right.
But the forums that are out there, you know, it just like, boom, shit went everywhere. And it's like, hey, this guy had a meth lab. Yeah. This guy was spilling a nitrous bottle with nitrogen. They were doing this, they were doing that. And the only people that actually knew what happened were me, my friend, my girlfriend. We were three in the shop. But the speculation and the keyboard warriors lit up the internet. Forums, there are people saying this, there are people saying that. And the crazy thing about it is, if you don't know what happened, why are you even putting your 2 cents in? Why put false stuff out there? Because I'm in ICU fighting for my life. When I get moved into my room, I have friends coming to visit me. And one of them was a local racer that me and you know is a chassis builder, Alfred Whiteside. The first thing he approached me with was, hey man, I noticed that one of your friends was trying to defend you in a big forum, which again, I don't know if you want me to mention the name. We'll just say YB.
Right.
And he goes, he said that you were working on a transmission and you went over there and you picked the bottle up, you turned the valve on to see how much nitrous was in it. And I'm like, why the hell would I, turn the valve on? I said, no. I said, what happened is, I picked the bottle up and world's worst. Pick it up by the valve. There was a whip hose on it. So instead of grabbing the valve, I grabbed the handle and I picked it up and had it by my chest and got a second grip with my other hand. I just wanted to make sure I didn't open the valve.
Right.
So I made sure the valve was closed, set it back down, put it on the workbench and walk off, turn around and boom. I mean, that's it. And Side was like, okay, well that makes more sense because I was trying to figure out why in the hell did you turn the bottle on to see how much nitrous is in it? Yeah, and that's just because,
people talk.
There are people,
this person says something, he adds a piece and he adds a piece. Like I heard, which made me being who I am, I'm like, no way. So I heard you had oily hands and you touched the bottle and static electricity caused it to explode. And I'm like, that's not even possible.
No, it happened. So, they said it happened, so that's what happened.
But things were, as with any of these accidents, people speculate or they hear a piece of it and then they add a piece to it and it turns into something else. So let's back up. So you bought, in 2009, you bought a Camaro.
Yep. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So you bought a car.
Yeah.
And in the back of the car, it already had a nitrous system on it.
Yeah, well, it's actually in the back seat area behind the passenger seat. And basically what it is, I'll try to make this real quick. I only wanted the car. The guy wouldn't sell me the car rolling, so I had to settle to buy it turnkey, trailer and all. Dude, it was like their whole racing program because him and his wife were divorcing. So we drove to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, just with the truck, paid half the money to him, half the money to her, hooked up to this trailer and brought the son of a bitch home.
Right.
And so this is where it gets bad because for people that don't know, I just want to know real quick. My best friend's house burnt down when we were in 6th grade. I live in a rural community. We had a volunteer fire department. They were understaffed. Needless to say, his house burnt to the ground. So when I was 14, I was going and saying, hey, do y'all have a junior firefighter program? I turned 15, went and begged some more. And they finally, eventually, when I turned 16, let me enter that. And I went to school, got my certification, went and got my advanced certification before I was even 20, got an instructional permit to teach statewide. So I've helped with McLennan County's, volunteer firemen's association, the state firemen's association, teach, classes that were once a year, which was McLennan County wide, and I would help instruct it. A&M, do that. Wimberley, Texas. I ran around with bottles that are similar to exactly what we're dealing with now. That some people will know, they call them an air pack or a SEBA. It's the same thing basically as a scuba tank.
Right.
So you go to school, you're wearing these on your back, running around in fires and stuff like that. And I did that for 18 years. And between doing that and then getting introduced to nitrous, and I was affiliated and did stuff with nitrous cars for almost 20 years before I got away from it. It becomes a normal. It's part of your life in more than one spectrum. You have oxyacetylene rigs, you have nitrous, you have everything. But the thing that killed me about it is I judged a book by its cover, and instead of having red flags go off, it can't happen to me, never will happen to me. I'm me. So, I'm invincible.
And when you say you judged a book by the cover,
it looked brand new. So here's what it is. The bottle was in plastic bottle straps behind the passenger seat. It had an electric bottle heater wrapped around it. It was, and I'll go ahead and mention the name because, I believe his name's Blaine Tishner, Bill Tishner, and Blaine was his protege. But the guys within OS, they did talk to me after I had my bottle fill and everything. It was a blue NOS bottle, and it looked brand new.
Right.
The label was 100%.
It didn't have any signs. Generally, when you torch a bottle, it'll dull the paint, or it'll start to shrivel up the edges. Even if they're trying to be slick, it'll show signs of a torch bottle. We can tell, even if somebody just barely torched a bottle, just by how it takes the brightness out of the
Yep.
out of the paint.
The
on
powder
bottle.
coat look,
Yeah.
yeah. And the crazy thing about it is not only did it look brand new, they even had the rest of the peels in a Ziploc bag, zip tied to the valve. And I mean, the plate looked new.
So you tell the guy took care of his stuff.
It looked brand freaking new, dude. So I didn't look at it and go, hey, I'm going to see what the date code is, because I'm going to be honest, guy. I'm lax. I guess you can call me lazy. I guarantee there's 90% of the racers out there. Dude, I'll change that. I bet 99% of the racers out there, if they're not affiliated with a company, such as yourself or somebody, which you become so normal being around this stuff that you take for granted that I brought you my bottles to fill the whole time I ran nitrous. You know, you filled my bottles. And if my bottle was out of certification, I knew you would say, hey, Blake, I'm not going to fill that because it's out of certification.
Because a lot of racers don't even know.
Yeah. And, you know, I was dependent on you having my back kind of thing. And that's why one of the reasons, I mean, I could have probably got a mother bottle and gravity-fed stuff, and I had friends that would do stuff like that. And I mean, not only sometimes we would come get 6, 8 bottles filled here at the track. If we went and saved like 2 or 3 days, we might have to have the track fill bottles.
Right.
And the crazy thing is you have so many people that are getting mother bottles or going to tracks that might have somebody there filling bottles that they can give 2 shits about a date code on the bottle. They can care if it looks like that or not. They're going to fill it because it'll never happen to me. And my Uncle Bob's twin sister, Bertha,
some people just don't know any better.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
It's not even it'll never happen to me. They just don't know any better.
So I judged a book by its cover. The bottle looked brand new. The straps on the little plastic bottle holder looked fine. It did have an electric bottle heater on it. I shouldn't have judged a book by its cover. I did. I weighed the bottle, had 4.5 pounds. I was like, well, who cares? You know, somebody wants this down the road. I can just give it to them and tell them, hey, it's got 4.5 pounds in it. The other thing that never hit me right off the bat that should have been a red flag is when we were taking the car apart and I went back in the wiring for the bottle heater. It went straight to a toggle switch on the back of the car that was hooked directly to the battery. There was no kind of a temperature switch or a pressure switch. There was
So you could leave the
nothing.
heater element on and overheat the bottle.
I have no clue. Never used it. Wasn't intended on use it.
And
So
if the bottle was empty, it's possible that at some point that heater element got powered up and it just constantly heated the bottle. I mean, who knows, right?
yeah, we have no clue.
But the other problem was your bottle was like 10 years out of
It
date.
was 8. It's either 8 or 9.
And you
Between
learned
8 and
about
9.
this after the accident, right?
Yes, yeah, because again, hey, it looks like it's got a brand new cheater system in it. Somebody will want it. Hell, I'll just throw it on the workbench down the road. Somebody wants it, hook them up. You know, it's one of them things that if somebody was to tell me, hey, dude, you're messing around with nitrous and you're going to lose your leg, I'd be like, gee, get the hell out of here.
And your accident was more than just losing a leg. And we're going to talk about that in depth here in a minute. So we took the bottle out of the car. We threw it on the workbench.
Yep.
Time goes by. You're in the shop building a transmission on the workbench.
I actually was called. We toured the transmission that they brought to me down. I was doing a solid for a friend. Had a friend call me and said, hey, guy that works with me, I knew who he was referring to, his boss, because I used to work at the same place. The guy was giving an employee a hard time saying, hey, you get your vehicle fixed, you miss another day of work, you're done, you're fired. They got paid every other week. The friend called and said, hey, I got a transmission, the guy needs to get his car fixed, or he's gonna lose his job. And I don't know this guy from Adam, but the guy that called me is what I considered a good friend.
Right.
So we were about to go to the track, dude. With that, our intentions were we were about to be out that door, getting in the car and going to the track. So needless to say, number one, I pissed my girlfriend off because I changed our plans, and you know, that doesn't always go over well. And so they show up, or he shows up, should I say. And I went out there and I opened the shop, and the shop was just a galvanized tin building on a wood frame. And dude, it is in July and it's hot as hell. We're in Texas, you know.
Yep.
And had one big open door and a little side window and a walk-through back door. So when I opened the building up, it was hot. I mean, really freaking hot, but we're in Texas, we're used to this.
Right.
So he backs the truck up, and we go and grab the transmission. I'm like, dude, I can't fix it. It's a 200 metric. I don't have parts for it. And he's just like insistent. I'm like, dude, y'all go to core, bring me a 350 core back. I'll try to hook y'all up and get y'all going again. So I went ahead and tore it down, and it was bad. And I didn't have parts to fix it. So again, I told him, y'all go get me a core, bring it back. I'll fix you up. We can work this stuff out later. And at that point, we were starting to clean stuff up. And I was putting tools up, and that's whenever the friend picked the bottle up and basically said, hey, what is this? And I'm like, that's the system out of the skittle car, because the car had a whole lot of scraps on it. That's why we call it a skittle car. And I said, if you want it, take it. Try everything out on it. We can work it out. I said, dude, it looks brand new. The pills are on the bottle. Everything's there. And it was just a normal day, dude. I'm walking around. I wipe my hands off. I'm wiping tools up. I'm putting tools up. But then again, you know, I'm cooking meth and I have transmission fluid on my hands, so I'm going to pick the bottle up and static electricity is going to blow me up.
The internet talk,
that's what's going to happen. I didn't foresee it, you know. So anyway, when I walk around there, evidently when he put the bottle back down, it wasn't all the way back under the workbench. And dude, at this time I have a kid, and she would haul ass in the shop on her bike. You know, you have Harper, you know how it is.
I do.
Kid, shop, accident, happen kind of thing. So like I said earlier, I kind of picked the bottle up, and whenever I picked it up by the valve, instead of going under it because the whip hose that was on it, I went under the
And a whip hose means you had a hose hooked up.
They had a hose that, and see, that's another red flag I should have seen, dude. They had a hose coming off the bottle, and it had an inline. It looked like an inline. At first, I thought it was like a clapper valve, like a one-way valve.
Yeah.
But it looked like that. It didn't look like a filter element. I'm sorry about that.
No,
so whenever I pulled it off, I just kind of backed it out, you know, and just left the whip hose on there, and that's how I set it under the workbench. So pick it up, make sure it's off, put it back under the table. Girlfriend yells at me. I didn't respond fast enough, turn around, boom, everything goes black. I'm on the ground, dude. I try to step up, I fall. Well, about mid-calf, both legs is what it got me. My left foot was gone. Immediately, y'all want to beep this probably, it was like, hey, it blew my fucking leg off. I had no clue what happened, but immediately after that, my brain starts racing, and I'm like, there's fire. I'm like, where the hell did fire come from, you know? And I'm confused, and luckily I had a medical background. I yelled for them to get me towels and stuff, and I'm not gonna get too graphic, but I tried to do what I could do to stop the bleeding. Once they got me, took me to the hospital. Next thing I know, they wake me up 3 days later. They tell me they're gonna have to, they asked if I knew where I was, told them yeah, they told me they're gonna have to go back in and go above the knee. Right. And I'm like, I got y'all. So they put me back out. I think it was 12 days later is when they brought me out enough to where I was coherent to know what was going on. They moved me into a room, and that's when I found out about this. I don't know if that camera can catch that or not.
The bottle fragments went through you like shrapnel.
Yeah, it went through you could actually see my ulnar bone and everything, and they had to do skin grafts and stuff. So whenever I woke up, I knew this was a thing already. I come to good enough to where I could start functioning and stuff. This ear was just like a flutter. So anytime somebody talked to me, it sounded like Charlie Brown teacher in the background. So if I had two people on the side of the bed, I was like, you have to shut the hell up while this person talks. Right. And then I'm like, what the hell is this? Because that's how I woke up. My fingers were like that, and I could not move them. And the nurse goes, yeah, there's a chance that you probably will never be able to use your hand again. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, because, dude, I use this to help put, strap around my leg, do what I could. I knew I had a wound. I took my shirt off, wrapped it up. But, that was not expected. So that threw me for the first loop. And I immediately had my mom and my girlfriend go and get some of the soft racket ball or hand balls that are practice ones. They're hard foam, but not soft. And because I was like, they're telling me I ain't gonna be able to use my hand. I'm gonna do what I can. So I started putting the ball in there, and I was just in my room working it. And anyway, that's when I found out it's above the knee. There's too much stuff down below, contaminated. I guess they're just saying infection set in. So when they're below the knee, they had to go then above it. And then this became a factor.
So it started off below, and then it went above.
Yeah, it was well, you can actually see the scar right here. That's where it caught me on both legs.
So it got this leg, your arm, that leg. Luckily, you saved that leg.
And this eardrum.
Did you get any body?
No. That's what's crazy about it. The other thing that's crazy about it is, though, now we're looking at this basically 16 years later. I have back issues. This ear's done. And I mean, I told them that I was having issues with it, but they were more concentrating on these two things.
Right.
They let me out of the hospital. I had to go back
How
in
long
for an
were you in the
infection.
hospital?
The first time, 6 weeks. Between 6.5 and 7 weeks. They let me out. I immediately had to be put back in because they found infection again, which scared the shit out of me because I was like, oh my God, they're going to take more of my leg.
Right.
And luckily, they got in there and they cleaned it up. And I was in the hospital again for 8 days, and they had the wound. They just had it open, and they actually had it's like a wound vac. So, dude, I told everybody that came in my room, it looked like there was a clear wrap over my leg, and then they had a tube shoved in it that was sucking all the juice out. It looked like a ham. You know when you go buy a ham at the store, and it's just this big old thing, and it's juice everywhere, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, what the hell? So they actually sewed me back up, 13 operations total on between this and that. They sewed me back up, and they said, everything should be good, but we're going to have to play it by ear kind of thing. So basically, the total was almost 8.5 weeks, 13 operations. Then they sent me home, started having to do therapy. This is when we were struggling because we're having to figure out how to pay for all this shit.
Right.
And, they're wanting their money. So the first thing that was good news, and I thought I was turning the corner and stuff was going to be going good. Well, let me backpedal real quick first. When they first moved me to the room, I think it was the third or fourth day I was in there, I had some friends come and say, hey, there were some people that came and represented themselves as an authority figure. We're not going to name the organization or anything. And they were trying to get the bottle.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that.
Okay.
Let's stay on the injury, and then let's talk about what happened from that.
So basically, I start going to my therapy and stuff. Occupational therapy came to the house, and she checked my hand, and she's like, I was having to do stuff like this. And these two fingers, if you notice, they follow each other now. Mm-hmm. And I still, as of even today, I only have like 48% of strength in this arm. And if I overexert, I don't know if they could see that or not, I mean, the meat and muscle had to grow back in here. And they basically said if it would have been just a hair over, because it severed the ulnar nerve, I wouldn't have been able to regain, because the ulnar nerve is this finger, and half of that finger.
Yeah.
And they said, well, luckily, with it being stabilized and sitting there, and then I started exercising it, within a week of me being out of the hospital, since I already started doing things on my own, she was like, you're further ahead than we thought you'd ever be on your hand. So I was like, hey, we're going the right way. Well, so then we get to talking to some people, and I get a call from Van Abernathy with Drag Illustrated. And he goes, hey man, I've gone to several tracks in Texas and even in the Oklahoma area, and we're talking to people about you. And they're basically like, dude, this guy, he's smart, he knows his shit. He'd give his shirt off his back to help anybody. He's one of them racers that if you go to him and you need help, if he's even busy at that moment, he'd be like, hey, give me a minute, let me do what I have to get done, and I will help you. And dude, I did that because when I first started out, there were so many racers that everything was a secret.
Right.
I mean, what camera are you running? Oh, it's top secret. Or, what are you doing for this? So whenever I started to learn, I had to learn pretty much on my own in trial and error. And I mean, at this time we didn't have desktop dynos and all that crap. It was go to Cargo. I don't know if you remember that place or not. Mm-hmm. Used to be in Waco. We'd go there and buy Cleveite Speed Pro cams and put them in the engine and run them for a month or two and be like, that's a piece of shit. Go buy another cam and lifter set and change it out, do the same thing. We were doing real world testing, And so it was one of those deals. I told myself I'd never be that guy. And so if people needed help, I'd help them. Yep. And he said that was exactly what everybody told them. So he said, Drag Illustrated wants to do an article about your accident, and we saw that you have a benefit page started, and we want to help. So we did the interview with him, and he wrote the article. And then a couple weeks later, I get another phone call, and it's from a man named Will Mandel, and he's another representative from Drag Illustrated. And he's like, dude, he goes, I have a band, and we just did a fundraiser for an organization here in Tennessee called Limbs Across America. And he goes, me and my girlfriend were going through recent subscriptions of, Drag Illustrated. And she's like, hey, you know this guy? And she goes, what would Denise and them do? So all of a sudden I get the phone call, and he's like, they want to meet you. And I'm like, okay, for what? He's like, they're going to put you on a leg. And I'm like, hey, hands here. Now I'm going to get a chance, to basically possibly walk.
Right.
So I'm like, we're going the right way here. And so we went to Tennessee, and the doctor got me and he fitted me, and I got to stand up that day. And they put me in bars, and dude, I got to walk. And I was excited. And I mean, right now I'm even getting a little teary, sorry. I'm a baby. But and I turned around, I walked back, and he's like, all right, you need to take a break. And I'm like, dude, screw you. I mean, I ain't been able to try to walk or something, for a long time. And so we sat down, and he went over stuff with me, and they did some checks, and they moved some padding around and got me to stand up and walk again. And they did a second fitment, and they're like, hey, we're going to blow you another socket, and we're going to send you home with a mechanical leg, and we're going to set you up with a therapist that we have in Dallas. And the car, we got you.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what do you mean you got me? He goes, you don't owe us nothing. He goes, once you do your therapy and you get going and your stump shrinks in and we do the refits and everything like that, he goes, eventually you will have a carbon fiber socket. He goes, if you have a favorite design you want it, he goes, even if you have like a t-shirt, he goes, we can actually put the logo that's on that shirt on it, and we're going to make you a leg. So I'm like, damn, that's, that's badass.
Awesome. Right.
And this at the time, to me, was...
I remember all this.
Yeah, this at the time was, this is not immediate people here in Texas and people that are really part of my little circle, or however you want to say it. It's just people from a racing community that are trying to help a fellow racer. And so this time I was like, wow, I guess I do matter a little, Well, needless to say, that didn't go so well. Within a month, I was doing my therapy, and I was walking at home, and I started getting these knots. And
the knots were in your
knee. They were in my stump at first, and we thought it was rub marks and stuff from, the socket and maybe like ingrown hairs. So I didn't say anything at first because, dude, my mindset was I need to walk. Mm-hmm. So we actually bought Nair, and I put it on my leg to where I had no more hair. And the knot kept getting bigger and bigger. And eventually my girlfriend, she was looking at it, and she goes, well, it doesn't look like it's an ingrown hair, and there's not like a bowl. It doesn't have like a head or anything. She goes, it's just a hard knot. And it went from being about the size of a little snow pea or sweet pea, whatever you want to call it, to about a marble. Mm-hmm. Then it got to about a golf ball. And then I couldn't even put my socket on because it hurt so bad. And then I started running fever and feeling bad. And so she was looking at it. She goes, it looks like there's like a little raw rub spot here. And I'm like, okay. And I was feeling back there. I couldn't feel it. And I'm like, well, what is that? And I pushed, and she looked, and she put her hand over it, and she started looking at it. And dude, all of a sudden there's just a sharp pain, and instant pressure was gone. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, because then it started freaking hurt. And she's basically, sorry guys, a little graphic, said that it looked like a woman had a period. It was just tons of blood clots and blood and then some pussy stuff. And I'm like, well, that's not good. So I called the doctor, and they told me you need to come in because if you get infection setting in, since the head of your femur's been cut off and it's not calcified over yet, if that infection gets into your bone, it could be bad news.
Right.
So we went, and they looked at it, and they're like, well, we don't know. We don't know what caused it or anything. So they cut it open and basically removed the sac that was there, and then they shoved gauze in it, and I was sidelined from trying to walk for 4 weeks until that wound closed. Mm-hmm. So 4 weeks went by, and I still mindset, I'm going to walk. It's fine. It's just a little setback.
Yeah.
Well, 2 days walking, not. This time instead of on the back of it, it's in my groin area. And it's right where the socket basically comes up, and it just has some rubbing. And I'm like, okay, well, so I put the foam pad in there to take any gap out, thinking, well, maybe it's just because it's rubbing wrong. And same thing, started out, got bigger. This time, it didn't let go. I started running fever and stuff. We ended up going to the emergency room instead of setting up a doctor's appointment. And they stuck a needle in me, and they, I think they called it astrabated it, which they pulled all the fluid out. Mm-hmm. And this time it was just straight nasty looking pus. And they said, okay, he goes, I can't get it all. So they had to make an incision and cut me open. And dude, when they cut me open, the room just filled with like nasty shit. I mean, it stunk. And he goes, dude, you have a massive infection. So I got put in the hospital. They were putting me on IV antibiotics and stuff. Again, they left the wound open, shoved gauze in it. We had to pull like 6 to 8 inches of gauze at a time, cut it and leave some hanging out, and then do it again later. Needless to say, that one went away after about 6 weeks. It took a little longer. And I'm hard-headed. I'm gonna walk.
Right.
So tried again this time, first day. Walked, did my exercises. That night, took a shower and, shower bench, sitting in a shower.
Yeah.
But don't want y'all thinking I'm hopping around in the rain. But anyway, found a knot and it was small. And I'm like, no, this can't be. It can't be. It's not happening. And same thing. Ended up, get cut open, shove it with gauze, pack it. I'm like, what is this, dude? No clue. And they said, all we can tell you is at this point in time, you need to quit trying to use your leg until we figure out what's going on. I'm like, okay. So I gave up. Didn't want to, had to.
Right.
So I was doing what I could. And by this time, I had people approaching me from Drag Illustrated article, which I guess getting other people in. And I had some people say, hey, are you gonna get back in the car? And I'm like, I can't afford to. And then stuff kept going on. And then I had talked to you and I said, man, these people, I have some people that are talking about possibly helping me if I want to get back in the car. And you said, well, dude, I got a 3rd-gen Camaro sitting here. There's one of my employees' cars has been in the back corner that he started doing work on and it's been sitting there. And I'm like, well, to get my mind off of the leg thing and the walking part, maybe I should build a car. Couldn't afford to, but these people are saying they want to help.
Right.
So I make arrangements and can I mention his name?
Yeah, I mean, we're car guys. So
Charles,
you're like,
Charles, and I ain't even gonna try to announce his last name.
Vasser.
There you go. He agreed that he would let me pay it out. So I paid the car off and got it there. And what started out is just throwing it together and we were just gonna put a naturally aspirated small block in there and just have fun. Well, then,
and how long ago was that? Let's touch
that
base.
was, I believe in 2012 is when it started.
Okay.
It took me almost 3 years after the accident to get in a mindset that I could possibly at least still race.
Right.
So 3 years and still fighting the whole thing of why.
Still not knowing why
Nobody
you're
knows.
getting sores and you can't use your
Nobody knows.
your leg.
So we start doing stuff with that car, and then my primary care physician, I had to switch because I didn't have medical insurance anymore. So I started having to go to a family practice clinic, which I know sounds bad that I'm trying to save money up and hustle and build a car.
And some people would say that.
Yeah.
Why are you building a car? But
It's
you're a car guy. It's in your blood.
It's therapeutic too.
Yes.
It's to keep my mindset. And at this time, you got to remember, I got a kid.
Yep.
You know, she's at this time, I think she's 6 or 7. So the first thing that was going through my mind when I was in the hospital, before she started getting 6 or 7, she's 5. But anyway, my mindset was, I have to set an example for her.
Right.
Like if you lemon, make lemonade, however you want to say it. But she needed to see that you're going to have roadblocks, you're going to have hurdles. And how I handled this didn't just affect me,
Right.
but her.
Yep. So
So
you weren't going to give up.
Nope.
You're going to take the cards you were dealt, and you're going to
Exactly.
play the cards.
So I had no control over this at that time. But a car, we could try.
Right.
So all of a sudden I get an email and they're saying that I don't have medical coverage anymore and the amount of my payments for my hospital visit, or not hospital visit, doctor's visits, dude, I couldn't afford it.
Yep.
At this time, it took us 13 months. It took me 13 months for them to even help me and put me on disability because I was a white male in my 30s when the accident happened, and I made money. I made good money before I moved back to Texas and, you know, this ordeal all started. So they base everything off your income for the 12 months prior.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not poverty level or anything like that, so I could get no help. So when I
you
first
went
came
from
out of the
doing good as a
hospital,
middle class person, had a great job, to
nothing.
stop.
Yes. And the thing bad about it is the hospital said, hey, this is what they told my mom and them is y'all need to fill out stuff for him to try to get on food stamps and everything else. Dude, they gave me $16 for food stamps. Because again, he's a white male, 39 years old.
Yeah.
You know, $16. You're talking what? Okay, I go there and get $16 and I can go do a couple loaves of bread and a gallon of freaking milk.
I remember, and it's funny because I'm looking outside and I'm like, I remember you didn't have a way to get around with a wheelchair and stuff. So we did an open house here and raised the money to buy you a van.
Oh. And the crazy thing about that is, again, if you think about it, before that happened, I'll get you.
In the grand scheme of things, even with all the helping hands you got, it's still just that much of the struggle you had on top of you financially and everything. Like, yeah, obviously very grateful for what help you got, but at the end of the day, it still didn't make up for how much.
It was digging a hole is what it was. That's what I was about to say. I'm going to kind of backpedal. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting long-winded and I'm sorry to go over. But basically what happened is they switched me up. So I had to go to a family practice and start seeing a doctor at a clinic. And just so happens this doctor that I went to, he had just came back from a mission deal overseas. And he had gone to Cambodia and some other places, and he was gone for 18 months. And he came back, and he's reading my chart, and he looked at me and he goes, hey, when was the last time you had a bump? And I said, dude, believe it or not, I have one in my armpit, and I don't understand. What the hell? And he goes, let me look at it. And he looked at it, and he goes, where are you getting them? I said, well, when I was using my leg, anywhere where my socket and my thing would make contact, I could get a knot would come up. I said, but it was just random. And I'm like, then all of a sudden, I started getting my armpits. I said, I started getting my groin area, my waistline. And he goes, so where stuff's rubbing? And I said, yes, I know what you have. I'm like, what? A clinic doctor, dude. I had been sent to specialists, dermatologists, all these other people. No, you had no clue. A clinic doctor. You have hidradenitis suppurativa. I said, Hydra who? He said, you have a condition called hidradenitis suppurativa. It's a newer condition or a newer disease that has been, found. He goes, it's only like 13 years old. It's as far back as we found out so far. And it affects 3% of the population. And I'm like,
damn the luck, huh?
Hold on. Where does it come from? He goes, it's hereditary. I'm like, well, how could I get this if nobody else in my family has this? I said, what is it? He goes, it's genetic. And I'm like, could I possibly got it in like blood transfusions or something? He goes, that's highly unlikely. I said, that's not the question. And he goes, we can't say yes or no to that. He goes, it's still a new thing. He goes, but it's highly unlikely. And I'm like, then how the hell did I get it? Crickets. So I'm like, all right. So I went from being a little overweight, heavy set, drink beer, had a beer belly, to a fat ass in a wheelchair that now not only lost my leg, can't hear out of my right ear, and lucky I'm losing my left hand. And now what's keeping me from walking is some kind of a freaking disease that I've never freaking heard of, nor have 90% of the doctors.
Highly likely you got it from the blood transfusion.
We have no clue. We can't speculate, but where did it come from? That's all I'm saying. So I've had some people that I'm like, how could I get it? And I've asked questions, and dude, it's still one of them things, they're always rolling it back, and they're always saying it's hereditary. So either the mailman's my dad, or I was adopted and nobody's let me in on the secret, or somehow I came up with a disease that 3% of the population was affected by. And the crazy thing about it nowadays is there are people that are getting put on disability because of hidradenitis suppurativa.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like, oh, that was weird. It's kind of like whenever you had mentioned at one time, a couple years after the accident and stuff about possibly doing tech. And I'm like, dude, I can't even come to work for you. I'm like, I would have to do something from home, because if I even try to wear clothes 2 or 3 days at a time, there's times that just rubbing on my armpit, rubbing on my neck, something like that, bam, you get a dot. And then I'm laid up sometimes 3-4 days, sometimes a week. If it's a bad infection, I got to go and get cut open and leave it open. I could be down 14 to 16 days, So I'm like, okay, so what do we do about this? So they put me on an antibiotic, and then they put me on another regime of antibiotics, and they put me on another one. So then all of a sudden, I start having issues, with calcium deficiency, all this other crap. Dude, I went to hell in a handbasket, not just from what happened that day in the leg, in the arm, then the ear, now the hydronitis. Now my mind's like, why? Right. And then you start questioning other things, and I'm not going to try to make this a faith-based thing or anything like that. But guy, I was always raised to where God won't give you more than you can handle kind of thing. Yeah. And, there's a reason why you're put in a certain situation, and there's something else. And I am still here. Yeah. So there must have been a reason for it. So then I start questioning the whole thing of why the hell have we still not found out what happened to the bottle? Right. And I'm calling DOT because, that's something I should have mentioned. So I get out of my room. Hospital. I go back to the hospital. I get out of ICU. I get put in my room. I have a visit from somebody that's representing themselves as a DOT employee. Name's Wayne Chaney, by the way. I remember the name. You won't forget it, huh? Yeah, that name I won't forget. So I get this story that, hey, we want to get the bottle. We want to do an investigation, and we're going to find out what caused the bottle to fail and everything like that. But by this time, we've already had some people kind of glance at stuff, and some kind of a deal called the fast steady test and stuff like that. And then they're saying, hey, there's over 1,100 microfractures on the internal structure of that bottle. Over 300 of them you can see with the naked eye. And it's like, wow. So you're already getting tidbits of information. So I'm like, well, I need to find out why. What the hell happened? So I'm like, if I let you take it, can I get it back? And he's like, yeah, it's your property. They take it, I call, nothing. I call again, nothing. I call again, he's out of the office. They were already doing cover up. This went on. So mind you, we already had somebody approach a friend that had access to the bottle saying they're with an organization to pick it up. And then when he says he's calling the sheriff's department, these guys they're out of there. So yeah, what's up with that? Now we have somebody representing themselves with the DOT, Wayne Chaney. I'm looking for you. And he gets a bottle, and supposedly they're going to find out what happened. Months go by, years go by. All of a sudden, we have no clue who you're talking about. Number's been disconnected. And I'm like, how the hell does a government number get disconnected? Then you talk to somebody else at DOT, and they have no clue who the hell you are. And it's like, well. And DOT would have no reason to hide it. Well, they give a certification. Yeah. So that's the only place they would be. But my whole thing is. So your thing is the bottle manufacturer. I have no clue. I'm not going to speculate. Yep. All I'm going to say is somebody did not want us to find out what happened to that bottle. Because the next step, if I got that bottle back and they couldn't come to a conclusion as to what happened, I had talked with Side, I had talked with you, I had talked to some other people that were like, why didn't you keep some of the bottle and you could send it to a metal urgent? And I'm like, what the hell is a metal urgent, Yeah. But my whole thing is, I'm laying in a freaking hospital room, just got out of ICU, lost my damn leg, am opening up to not knowing if I'm going to use my hand again, can't hear out of one ear, to having a glimmer of hope to find out what the hell happened, because everything I was being told made no sense to me. How in the hell and one of these, a bottle, something, fire department, air pack, running around, scuba tank, learn how to scuba dive with, bottles that had been in the back seat of my, dually running around. And I will admit, I did not have an electric bottle heater. I never used an electric bottle heater of my own. We live in Texas. If I went to a track and I needed to build bottle pressure, dude, I would just set the bottle on the tailgate of the truck or on the trailer and just monitor it. Or if it's during the winter, I'd leave in the floorboard of the truck with the defroster on. Right. So, thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. You have a good day too. But I was kind of like, it's being educated and learning more. We can't learn enough. And people that say you can't teach a dog, no dog, new tricks. If you're going to tell me that your uncle did it this way, your dad did it this way, my grandpa, my grandma, my third cousin on my sister's side, whatever the hell you want to say, they did it like this for years, and it ain't going to do anything. My thing is, shit happens. Let me ask you this. Do you think whenever Henry Ford came out with his Ford vehicle that, well, hey, there's a chance somebody could have a wreck, be ejected from the vehicle and die. No.
Yeah.
You know, gun safety. Look at gun safety. Hey, gun kills people. No, people kill people. The most dangerous gun that you're taught is what? The unloaded one, because people assume
it's unloaded.
If we judge a book by its cover and we assume that, hey, this bottle's brand new, it looks brand new, and we don't rotate it and look at the date and say, hey, this thing needs to be checked.
Yeah.
And we take that safety standpoint for granted. And we get a bottle that we don't know the history of, or we buy a car that came with the 2 bottles in it, or hey, your uncle that's been heating his bottle for 28 years and never had it recertified says, well, hell, I ran it for 28 years, it's fine, use it. You might be lucky and it not happen to you. But my thing is, if it's something that won't happen, you have a list. If it's something that won't happen, I wouldn't be here. If it's something that won't happen, what about when I first started trying to track other people down that had issues with bottles, telling me that they can't talk to me because they got paid off for the cost of their car and the bottle that blew up in their car and they signed a non-disclosure agreement? What is that?
Even whenever you got hurt, what I noticed is that everyone involved, from nitrous companies to bottle manufacturers, they went in hush mode. I seen it as an opportunity to educate. I was a little bit different.
Yep.
The nitrous manufacturers are worried that you would be like, oh my God, that's dangerous. I'm not going to use this product no more. I seen it as an opportunity to say, hey, I don't want this to happen to you. I'm going to educate you how to avoid this.
Yep.
Because there is a way to avoid that. And to this day, that was 2009.
Yep.
Here we are in 2025. We're still fighting this fight.
Yep.
And it's because of ignorance.
Yeah, and here's the bad thing
People's
about
ignorance.
it. I just want to throw this in. And I have people that still say today, and I mean, I borrowed a pop-up canopy from you a couple of years ago because I went to an event and didn't have one. And I got stuff from you. Anytime I did an event, whether it was a car show in the past, and whenever we first started doing car shows, to buy stuff for me, wheelchairs, potty chair, you know, whatever it may have been, y'all were always there, even whenever my name wasn't out there. So I've always done what I could, you know, to push the Nitrous Outlet brand. And even though I don't choose to run it myself, I mean, dude, it's called being gun shy. I mean,
I don't blame you.
You know, and my thing is, I never got to close that chapter of my life, and I never got closure on it because we can speculate all damn day long. But my thing is, the bottle that got me
Didn't look like this.
didn't look like that. The bottle that got me, I was told whenever they checked it, did still have the burst disc. The thing that we have to look at and take, you know, a little bit of a mind check on is this. If the bottles, people are saying the only way they're going to fail is because the burst disc is removed or they're doubled up, it has to be something like that. Well, let me ask you this. You go run your damn car into a tree and then get it yanked off that tree. I mean, hell, I hit a tree in my car. I got to drive it home. I had a friend hit a tree. You know, he drove home. I had another friend hit a tree. Hell, he can't drive it because one wheel's pointing this way, one wheel's pointing that way. There's always different outcomes to anything. That's just like you have people that are going to tell you, hey, well, I heat the bottle just like you mentioned a minute ago to build pressure. Do you realize my personal car, Brad's car, when I first went to Brad, I mean, dude, these guys, they were under the practice, and I'm not trying to badmouth, I'm not putting his last name out there, but they would want to build so much bottle pressure just like you mentioned. And then the crazy thing about it is, not only do they get into the whole trap of, oh my God, it leaves hard as shit and then it goes away, but the other thing that was funny is, look at how many of these guys will heat a bottle, and I mean, they'll put it in their car and they're like, well, oh shit, my solenoid won't open. Yeah. And they don't realize because it's got too much freaking bottle pressure, you know?
I'll tell you
Or how about this? Hey, let's heat the bottle up, put it on the car, put it in the car, open it up and be like, oh shit. And then they sit there for 5 minutes, purging to get the bottle
all the
pressure
volume
down.
out of the bottle.
Everything they just work is gone.
Yeah.
But hey, it doesn't matter. It works. You know, that's why whenever you did what you did, and I'm not saying anything bad because the people at NOS did help me. They donated stuff for the cause to raise money to help with medical stuff. I lost friends over this because I didn't do something that you just mentioned a minute ago. I had friends tell me, if you just put an inkling out there that you're going to sue, they're going to give you hush money. Dude, I would rather be poor and broke and find out what caused that to happen than be given money to not mention that happened ever.
Right. You were on a mission to understand why it happened to you.
And that's how I'm wired.
Right.
I'm wired to where I want to know how things work. I want to learn how to have a car that, back to like Brad and them, they're running bottle pressure way up there. And I told them, I said, dude, I never run more than 950 pounds of bottle pressure, and I've never had an issue. I've never had stones not wanting to open. You know, it stays more consistent. If you go in there and throw a bottle in that's got 900 pounds, and then you put one in that's got 1,150, and all of a sudden it hits harder shit, and then you ran slower than you did when you had 900 pounds, then why? Why are you doing it? Or the next thing that pops in is this. Excessive bottle pressure. Now I'm gonna get you back on your subject. Mm-hmm. My solenoid went open. That's a piece of shit. That nitrous system's junk because my solenoids aren't opening properly anymore. Well, if they're operating outside of the pressure range that they're made to operate, that's not product error, that's user error.
Yeah, they all have a rating to where they will not open.
Exactly.
So, and that's, you know, look at this bottle. This bottle was traded in this month because we cut them up as soon as they come in. So that means this bottle was out being used, right?
Yeah.
It is so if you look at the bottles right here on the stampings, you'll see like a little @ sign in the middle of two numbers. So this bottle was made in 2004, in the 4th month of 2017. And it'll have the manufacturer on it, like this is Nitrous Outlet, and it was made by Catalina. Somebody had this in their car. They were using it.
And it hadn't been recertified.
No, it's never been recertified. And you can tell whenever a bottle's being recertified because it'll have a certification stamp right here.
But here's the thing. So they just traded this bottle in.
For a new one.
So riddle me this, Batman.
Did they change their program or are they running another bottle?
Well, not only that, my riddle for you is, who the hell is filling this?
Somebody was filling it.
Because they either
and I can tell you right now,
uneducated or they don't care.
And I'm going to tell you 90% of the racetracks that are out there will fill this.
Yep.
And this guy has this in his car at the start line with 50 to 100 people around it.
Yep.
That's a problem.
Yep.
And until the racetracks stand up and say no more, they're putting every one of their customers at risk. They're putting their employees at risk. They're putting me at risk. They're putting my kid at risk.
Yep.
All because they're worried that a racer will say, well, I'm not coming to your track then.
Yep. And the other thing I do
But we could force them to change their program in their way by simply saying, that's right. Until you get your program right, because we want to make sure you're okay and the rest of our customers are okay, that's right. You cannot come to our racetrack. Guess what? If every racetrack within that area has that same mentality and they work together, we can stop this shit.
Yep. Well, let me ask you this. Honestly, think about it this way too. Can you tell me in any instruction pamphlet or informational guide, tech video, anything from you, Michael Thermos, anybody else who might be out there, who actually endorses properly heating a bottle with a torch or an open flame?
Nobody.
Okay. Dude, I've left tracks because people use an open flame. I was at Cedar Creek. Get this, 2 o'clock in the morning, I saw 2 people, and this is during the winter, to build bottle heat, and this is not a lie. I actually loaded my shit up and left. Burn barrels, because it's cold as shit. It's during the winter. They put a grate across it and set 2 bottles on a burn barrel.
I've seen that on a barbecue pit at the racetrack.
And I was like, what in the hell? And this is before my accident, guys. This is when I was running nitrous too, and I'm like, what in the, I'm getting away from that. And if you go and you say something to them, like I almost got in a fight with the guy in the pits at
because they think you just need to mind your own business.
In Little River, they popped the back of their car open and they had a torch out. And I'm like, hey, dude, if you don't mind, we got kids and other people over here. And if you want to blow yourself up or something, put yourself somewhere else. And I'm like, we were here first. You can move your shit. And the guy got shitty about it. And I was like, okay. So I just went up there and said, hey, I want my entry fee back and stuff because we're fucking leaving. Oh, sorry about that, guys. But we're leaving because that is not, let's say, practiced at all. But then you have all these people that are like, I've been running nitrous for years and I've done that. After my accident, you know what? I had met Tony Christensen probably 5 times running races at Kennedale. I didn't race him. I'm not that fast, guys. I just got to meet him. And believe it or not, he was one of the racers that reached out to me. And I'm like, I'm freaking talking to Tony Christensen, you know? Right. And he's like, and I don't know if you ever talked to him. The dude has a hell of an accent to my ears, you know? And he's like, all right, don't tell me I'm not going to fucking run nitrous again. And I'm like, he just said that. And I'm like, no, what, dude? And, but yeah, he was just like, you know, I understand that what we're doing is wrong. And a lot of people do shortcuts and stuff like that. And he goes, but the thing is, if there's modern steps that can be taken and stuff like this that can prevent that from happening. And in my case, honestly, the bottle looked like this. It looked new. Was it weakened by an electric bottle heater that was left attended or unattended, should I say, and the power just ran until either it tried to short itself out or the
generally
battery
it
went
burn the heater
dead.
Element out because it can't transfer it. But something created that. And it could have been a manufacturing defect,
but we can't
wasn't
find that
caught
out
because it was never recertified.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be recertified every 5 years.
Yep. And the other thing is, without us getting the bottle back to have the composition of the aluminum that bottle was made out of,
right?
We couldn't test that. And from everything I was told,
which is why somebody came and grabbed it.
And that's what I say. And that's exactly why when I tried to reach out to that one kid, and I couldn't get a hold of him. I got a hold of his brother, and I was like, "Hey, could you at least just tell me the manufacturer of the bottle and any codes on it, anything?" Because I wanted to find out. And I don't know. This is me speculating, but from what I was informed and told by several different companies, the bottles are pretty much batch tested. It's not like they check every freaking one, which I don't know.
That's possible.
I don't know. I don't work at a manufacturing plant.
A certain way and then batched. I could see that.
But so with me not being in the industry and knowing factual if that's true or not, but if they were being batch tested, do you know how big of an open window that can put? I mean, so for me, it's kind of like, just because you can see this and be like, oh shit, that bottle's been put through some stuff.
Right. You could have one like that looks brand new.
You know, and I mean, think about it. You can meet the most beautiful woman in the world that you think's a model and probably had everything handed to her whole life. And she could have grown up being abused by her dad, been raped 4 times. We don't know her history. You know what I mean? So my whole thing is, whenever you approach, yes, everybody else went quiet. Could I have probably got paid off and got money if I would have been like, squeaky wheel, hey guys, right. I'm going to freak the industry up over here because I'm pointing fingers. I was raised different than that. If I do not know you're at fault, he's at fault, or I'm at fault, I'm not going to say, I'm going to sue you, and you be like, well, you can't even prove it's my bottle that caused the accident. But in the industry, it'd be better for you just to be like, hey, we're going to give you 10 grand, shut up.
Right.
You know, hey, okay, what did it cost you getting a leg? We're going to give you that, but you're going to sign a non-disclosure and we're going to get your bottle and you can never talk about this.
Yeah.
I mean, but to me...
Because they know it's going to cost them more money in the long run.
Yes.
If the word's out there that this is an issue.
Or if we prove that it is an issue.
Right.
That's the main thing. But so here's the difference. Out of the people that approached me with anything to do something that was on the positive side, it was you. And I mean, people can say, hey, that's because they had a friendship already or whatever. But my thing is, if you and any other nitrous company that sells these and nowhere says, hey, heating a bottle in this method is, encouraged. But
I see people that work for other nitrous companies torching their bottles out in the parking lot.
Not only that, look at the people now with the influence you have on social media.
Yeah.
And you have sponsored racers.
TV racers and it's crazy.
Heating bottles in the back and just talking like, who
I'm going to tell you what I have a picture of from War in the Woods. And it's one of my customers. This is mind blowing.
Okay.
He's got his 3-year-old daughter torching his bottle.
Oh, wow.
Blew my mind.
I imagine.
And I was going to call it out. And my sales manager said, David, that's one of our customers.
Yep.
I'm like, I just can't even understand it. Like, I see all this stuff going on, and I see the people that have the power to stop it from happening, allowing it to happen.
But if y'all aren't on the same page, dude,
They don't
nothing's
care.
ever going to happen.
I mean, there's winter circle pictures of one of our competitors that works at another nitrous company with a highly torched bottle, and he's evacuating out in the air. They think it's a joke.
Yep.
They think this is a joke.
Yep.
They think it's ignorance is what it is. It's ignorance. And it's putting everybody else at risk.
But again, it goes back to until it happens to them, it doesn't mean anything, dude.
Right.
And that's the God's honest truth. And the bad thing about it is I can sit here and basically be like, hey, you know, what happened to me, I can't explain it. I don't know. I judged a freaking book by its cover. I didn't go and say, oh my God, look, this bottle is out of certification. I'm going to let all the nitrous out of it and let it go. I'm just like, well, shit, it looks new. Somebody will want it, throw it on the workbench, and I'll get rid of it.
And that one decision changed your entire life.
Yep.
And it wasn't like you were texting and driving or doing something stupid that, you know, people
I was trying to help a friend.
Yeah, just your day changed at that moment. And you've been fighting this fight ever since 2009.
Yep.
You know, so
And the hole that I was mentioning earlier, when I got off subject, I apologize again. I know, dude. The bad thing is there's so much we could cover with this, but I started doing the build, covered at RPM magazine. You know, the build blew up. So what I did was I started having all these, you know, companies want to get involved, and the magazine's like, hey, yeah, well, we're going to do this and this and this and this, and then all of a sudden the newness wears off, and this is the crazy part. When my ex-girlfriend first moved down here, she came and visited first. And we went to Ennis, went to Cedar Creek, went to Kennedale, and Little River. And she's like, everywhere we go, people know you. You have a lot of friends. I'm like, baby, those aren't all friends. A lot of them are acquaintances. She goes, well, what do you mean? I'm like, it's hard to explain. You have people that are actually your friends, and you have people that want to be your friends. And I said,
and then you have people you know.
It's one of them things that it's something you'll have to learn on your own kind of thing, you know? And so we start building this car, and it starts blowing up, and I'm sitting here like, oh my God, dude, I was gonna do this small tire car. It's already mini tubbed. All I had to do was finish a few things on that, throw a small block in it. Probably gonna run somewhere in the 7s and the 8th mile, you know, just something slow and fun.
Right.
But it would be a way to get back into the race and be racing again and be in that environment instead of dwelling on negative stuff.
Right.
It gave me a positive goal. And well, then all of a sudden, the newness is wearing off, and you have these people who, at first when it happened, not only are they telling you, but they're telling your family members that, don't worry about Blake. If we have to build a car and get him in a car, he's gonna race again, because we're gonna do what we can to keep him focused and basically get through this. Well, you know, I didn't jump into a car build until after a couple of years, because I was confused. And I was like, oh my God. And I mean, I remember the first time I came here and we were doing the car show, and y'all donated a complete kit. And you even came to that show too, you know, but we were getting everything together, and you had a couple of extra bottles that we were putting on the drawing table. And when you brought them outside, and at this time I had the car, and I didn't have the wheelchair with me, that's why I couldn't come in. And you brought them out there, and you started opening the back door. I'm like, no. You know, and you're like, dude, they're empty. And I'm like, Dave. And you're like, I got you. I understand. And you understood, you know, and that was cool. But the crazy thing is, I'm trying to get people that are friends and people that I've helped in the past. I'll wait for this.
Hello, good morning.
Yes.
How are you?
Thank you.
You work well, sir. Have a good day.
But I've had these people from the past, and I'm not saying I'm one to keep score, but you know, you have those people that you know. I mean, I've had people, Brad. I get woke up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Hey man, we're gonna peel this bitch up and let her eat, and I'm like, be sure you change your retard. You know, because the funny thing about it is, and you're gonna know this way better than me, and I'm not saying I'm the best tuner in the world or anything. My thing was, I was always conservative, and I was always really cautious about what I did, and I wasn't real aggressive because I didn't have deep pockets and I didn't have a pocketbook to be able to pop a motor every 6 or 8 weeks
Right.
and get another one and put it in.
Yep.
So everything I did, I ran the best that I could with what I had, but I wanted to be consistent and make it live, period. So, you know, you do stuff and you have these people that call you, you know, you have people that call you up that are race friends that are like, oh man, me and my wife.
So everybody's going to build your car.
Yeah, so all these people are going to come and you're like, yay. Well, then when you start reaching out and saying, hey, RPM just notified me and I need to get an article written for the magazine. I need to do this and this and this and I need help. Because, I mean, I do have some hurdles that I can't do because, I mean, I'm not letting what happened to me define who I am.
Right.
But it does kind of defy my abilities of getting certain things done.
Right.
So I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to be an asshole. I'm still going to be a racer eventually. But so all of a sudden, these people that I'm reaching out to, it's kind of like, you know, well, I would like to help and everything, but I've kind of got this going on, or I kind of got that going on. And then the mentality that's coming across is, it's not what have you done for me? It's what have you done for me lately? You know, you're not helping me do this. You're not offering to do this. As a matter of fact, one of my friends, Bubba, I'll mention Bubba first, contacted me and he's like, hey, you know, I won some of the nitrous stuff that Dave donated to your, you know, your drawing for the car show, and I need to get it wired up. And I'm like, look, okay. So I drove to Maybank and I told him, I said, here's the deal. I'll wire it up and everything like that. And I said, but the bottle can't be near me. You're gonna have to take the bottle out of the truck, put it somewhere else. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a little, you know, butt munch or anything, whatever you want to call it. It's just, it's still new to me and it's still,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, mentally.
Yeah, I'm dealing with shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, hey, no problem. So I go and do that. Well, I have another friend reach out to me and they're doing some changes on his car and they're fighting some stuff. And I'm like, dude, you know, I was always the guy, and again, this is my personal preference. If I'm running a nitrous car, I'd run a fuel system for my car engine, and I'd run a fuel system for my nitrous. And because a lot of headaches come from running one pump, in my opinion, and the way I'd see people set cars up, well, this guy had a single pump, and they ended up putting a fogger on the car, and they're having issues with it, having fuel problems, and he's like, you know, it's plumbed, it's got a dash 10 feed line, it's got a dash 10 return. I'm like, dude, flow always goes to the least resistant.
Right.
That's just, it's, I don't know if you want to call it physics or what, but flow is flow. You got a little asshole here and a big asshole here. It's going to go the least passive resistant wherever it goes. And I'm like, so dude, if you're going to try to run it the way you're doing it, you're either going to have to put a smaller return line on it or put some kind of a restriction or orifice fitting or something to where you can get your pressure back where it needs to be and you'll be okay. And I said, but I highly recommend just get another, you know, fuel pump and just be done with it. And the guy's like, well, we want to do this. Can you come and look at it? And I'm like, dude, if I come and look at it, I just ask you to take the ball out of the car. And this is a friend. Well, that I don't understand. So if I'm running nitrous, you're not going to get around my car anymore. And I said, no, I just don't feel comfortable being around your car if there's a full bottle in it. I mean, that's just what I'm saying. If you're running a bottle in the car, I'm not getting around it. If you take the bottle out, I have no problem looking at stuff. But if you're choosing to run a bottle, I'm not comfortable with that. And I'm dealing with a lot of shit, you know?
Yep.
And this came out of the mouth. So if you had an accident on the interstate, you're telling me I couldn't drive on the interstate anymore? And I said, you're ignorant, dude. That's just completely way off base. And I didn't get it. You know, then Brad calls me. He's like, hey, I need you to look at something on my car. We did this, we did that. And I wanted to know if you'd help me wire this LS swap we're doing in my truck. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Brad, if the truck's in the shop, all your bottles need to be somewhere else. Put them in your dad's shop, put them somewhere. And I'm like, I can't be around them. No problem. But it's crazy that there are people that don't understand that you're battling stuff. And not only are you having to, you know, deal with physical stuff,
Well,
you now have a mental aspect that's it's in the back of your mind. You can't get closure on what the hell. At the same time, you have people that are like, hey, we're friends. We'll always be there for each other. And now it's kind of like, well, he ain't helping me. Why the fuck should I go help him? Right. And then I'm like, I I don't get it. And I'm like, I now feel like the racing community's turned their back on me. And this other group of friends and people that I had that I thought were a second family are kind of like, here you go.
So we're in this car build, and I remember you're building it, and then the articles dropped off, and then the car went away.
Basically what I
never got to finish it.
Basically what happened is, if you get into doing like a magazine build and you become obligated to something, then they put you on a schedule. I want to put this out there. Mm-hmm. So first off, we're going to put it out there like this. Chris and Trish Bureau of RPM Magazine, they did everything they could originally to help me out and get me started and try to bring some awareness to the build of my car. And we started out with a small scope of an idea. When stuff started to happen before we even started doing the car disassembly, and we had people like Chris Austin Chassis Works jump on board, and we had these people coming out and saying, hey, we want to help. And these are people I don't even know, but it's all back to the Drag Illustrated stuff. So stuff's coming out. And we had these people saying they want to become involved. Well, what happens is the scope of the build completely changed, and it was getting out of my hands, and I didn't have control of my own car.
Right.
And then I'm having deadline issues that I have to meet with an agreement with a magazine. But I also have obligations with companies that are saying, hey, we want to do this with you, but you have to do this for us.
And you can't physically do everything.
And you can't do everything on your own. And all of a sudden, you're becoming dependent. And now I'm having to basically take my car to other people and figure out ways to come up with money to pay other people to perform work on my car because it's out of hand. And I'm just digging a hole. And I'm like, oh my God, And the next thing you know, it's like, I can't do this, And so now you get the magazine people kind of upset with you, and I don't have any grudges. I'm not going to say anything bad about these people. I understand it's business and they're trying to provide a service for their subscribers. Right. And I dropped the ball by letting something happen, but you have to understand from my standpoint, my main goal was getting this freaking car running and regaining part of my life.
Right.
And this was when I first hit the first mentality wall. Blake, you can't do what you normally do. You can't achieve your goals. You are being throttled back and limited.
Right.
And I had no control.
So that project came to an end, but now you're back to building a truck for
that's
doing
because
dragon
of you.
drives. I seen a picture the other day where you're lifting the truck bed up by yourself in the wheelchair using, what was that, a come along or a hoist?
Yep.
So, I mean, you're out there, you're still pushing through.
Yep.
I remember you telling me, Dave, with this car, I came to the realistic, this car, if I can't even do these things, the odds of turning a car at the racetrack is going to be too much.
Yep.
So you
even loading it in the freaking trailer.
Right.
And then, so I basically gave up. And I hate saying that. I really do. I hate having to put in my mind, because I'm not a freak quitter. But my thing is, I dropped the ball. There were a couple companies that did put in some stuff.
Right, you had obligations to them.
And I didn't get to fulfill, but this is who I am. I tried to make right, and I contacted a bunch of them up, and I sent this stuff back. And I had some people say, dude, we were just trying to help, and we're sorry it didn't work out, kind of thing. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, I feel that I'm letting this get the better of me. And so I started getting rid of more stuff. And at that time was when I was really struggling to even be able to pay, bills and stuff like that. And I was like, so we were selling everything. And then for some reason, I don't even know how it happened, but you called me, and I don't know if you're going to remember this conversation or not. But you're like, are you really selling all your shit? And I'm like, yeah. And dude, I had just sold 2 weeks prior to this conversation the brand new 406 that we had sitting at Bad Attitude Racing Engines in Florida, and $14,000 motors. Sold it for $5,000 because I had to have.
You had to have the money.
Yep. And you're like, dude, and I told you, I said, even if I get the car running, dude, I said, it's slammed. I can't load it on an open trailer. I physically myself cannot pull it into an enclosed trailer if I was to rent one or borrow one.
You've came to a
and get out of
realization
it.
that you cannot do this car.
Yep, there's no
You
way.
went from being excited about having the build to now this build has turned into a nightmare.
Yep. And it's like, damn. And you're like, well, hold on, wait. And I told you, yeah. And you said, because you had already knew I was going to try to get rid of the car, because I called you and said, if you know anybody who might want it, I'll get rid of it dirt cheap because I need to get some money. And somebody you talked to went and looked at it and said, dude, they have it sitting in a pole barn. It's rusted as shit. And I'm just like, oh my God, you know? So it was just like, it's done. So, and that's when you said, you need to go look at this. And I'm like, look at what? You're like, Rocky Mountain Race Week. I said, what the hell is that? And you're like, drag and drive. I said, dude, I do not have the pockets to compete in drag week. You're like, no. Totally different. They call it a drag and drive. It's completely family oriented, and there's a class for pretty much everybody. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And I kind of hung up the phone with you. The next thing I know, I'm Googling it, and I go and I start watching videos, and I'm like, I can do this. A street car, not building a race car, but build a street car that's fast that you can go and drive and race at a track. And I'm like, I think I can do this. So first thing I started doing, I went back. I'm like, you know what? The funnest thing I ever built and the funnest thing I ever had was my truck. And I'm like, I can get in and out of a truck on my own. Mm-hmm. If I need to get some stuff, even have somebody throw my wheelchair in the back or buy a second wheelchair, put a wheelchair in the bed of it or on a cart on the back, or if I get in a small trailer,
Put a lift
throw it in a trailer and get somewhere and just ask somebody, hey, can you help? And then I'm like, well, but on drag and drives, I could have somebody with me.
Yep.
So, hey, build a drag and drive truck. I can enjoy a truck again. I can enjoy therapy again, building this truck. And then I can go race and drive the shit on the street and have fun.
And this truck's getting close.
And I started rolling.
What year is it?
I hit it hard. It's a 1967 short wheelbase C10.
Okay.
And I got rid of the car to get the truck. I started selling the rest of the stuff. At this time, I had just had to close the business down because we had a shift in our presidency. And
yeah, you were custom building guns and selling
AR
guns.
platform guns.
Yeah.
But with that starting to get hit, and they're like, hey, we're going to put a damper on this. I was like, oh my God, if I don't get out of this, I'm going to be again hurt. So I finally got to the point to where I'm financially able to possibly do this.
All right, so where can people find you? Our phone went dead, our not phone, our camera went dead. Where
As
can
far
people
as the
find
build of the truck and everything, it would be on YouTube at Bad Attitude C10. So the @ then Bad Attitude C-10. We did start a website as well that is called Bad Attitude Performance, and we're offering like a annual supporter, membership or subscriber thing there, and also a YouTube partnership where you pay $30 and you're automatically putting in drawings for the next year. So $30 every month, we do one drawing, you're automatically entered. And then I'm also doing random drawings, and companies or people that come up, kind of like you did the shirts. That
drawing, you give away,
we're giving
like that. Show that.
Yeah,
show that
like we're just giving stuff away. For instance, I bought one of these for my personal use, and since I knew I was coming to visit, I was like, well, I want to bring Dave some kind of present. But I bought one of these to unclutter my workbench and stuff, and it's just basically a little thread gauge deal, and you can go through a bowl or a drawer of nuts and bolts in a heartbeat. Versus having to go to a hardware store and guess what you're getting. So I figured, you know what? When I bought it and I did it, I was like, this is one of them tools that you think, you wouldn't really need, but then when you use it, you're like, woohoo.
I've seen you do custom lamps. I've seen you do all kinds of parts and race car parts. And I've seen you do apparel. And so anyways, for your membership.
If they join right now, it's $30 for a year.
And that's a great way they can support you to help you
to help finish the build of the truck.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's what we're trying to do now. Because the big hurdles that I have left on the truck right now, I got to get the bed painted, and I need a drive shaft.
Right.
Other than that, I pretty much have everything I need to finish building the truck. And
so you're at paint and drive shaft.
I still got to put the whole damn thing back together. But as far as funding, I need to get the bed painted. And
so you're like almost there.
It's within grasp. And my goal is, I wanted to still try to get something done, and I wanted to approach Tom and try to get in sick week again. But February, dude, with this and me having to have surgery, I don't know how quick I'm going to get back out there. So I was going to try to see about, I don't know if y'all are still sponsoring Rocky Mountain Race Week or not.
We haven't in a while, but I talk to Matt all the time.
And that's what I was going to say.
Familiar with your story, and I know Matt would find us much.
So that's what I was going to do, was see about reaching out to him, or if you could, or have him get in contact with me. And I wanted to get a goal set to where I have something to focus on.
Right.
Because if you have an end goal, not only getting the truck running and doing it, but dude, I want to race.
I haven't. I have never done anything but Rocky Mountain Race Week, and I had so much fun. Matt Frost and his wife and their crew, everybody was like family, and that's why I called you and said, dude, you got to do this.
Well, I would tell you
Because I knew
this,
that
and
was
I'm
right
not
up your
trying
alley.
to put up a competition or anything like that, but sick week was probably the funnest freaking
Because you did that.
week. Yeah,
Yes.
I did go and do it. I forfeited my race spot because I was, dude, they're like, just race what you bring.
Right.
And we went to Tahoe, and I'm like,
But just doing the cruise is cool.
yeah,
You
so
get to
I
see it
forfeited.
happen.
Well, they told me there were 487
Yeah.
people on the waiting list. And I'm like, well, I want to forfeit my race spot, and I'll do sick ward.
Yeah.
Because I still had to do all the checkpoints, the driving, you're still in the pits and everything. It's still the overall experience.
Right.
And dude, that was probably the funnest time I've had at a racetrack.
That's
in
cool.
a long freaking time.
That's cool.
And but my thing is, I don't know if Rocky Mountain Race Week's going to be in the Texas area and stuff again.
They got,
but
yeah.
that's what
they
I
have
want.
two
That's
now.
what
They
I
got
want to try to
Texas
do.
and that one. So
Yeah.
I'll reach out to Matt for you.
And,
all right. So we got to bring this home.
I got you.
All right. So if you told first of all, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for
And so,
having me.
I know it's emotional to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Still, it sucks, man.
even
I'm a
me
big old
knowing
baby.
you, I still cannot imagine the battles. You know what I mean? So if you were to tell people, looking back, one thing that maybe could change their life,
Yep.
what would it be?
To be educated about bottle safety and check your date codes, dude. And if you don't know the history or something you're getting, and I mean, this doesn't just pertain to like the nitrous bottle, but I mean, if you buy stuff that's used, secondhand stuff, but no matter what it is, 90% of the time, you're not going to expect something to be brand new because it's used.
Right.
But if I bought something from you, and I know you have an electric bottle heater in your car, and you're going to be the kind of guy that takes care of his stuff, I'm probably still going to be kind of lax and be like, oh, well, he took care of it. But for me now, the red flags that I should have caught originally, and I just kind of was lax about and let go by, it's because of that mentality. And I'm here to tell you that mentality that, hey, this can never happen to me, I'm living proof. And it sucks. You know, so if nothing else, if something would go home, this is something I wanted to applaud you for, and not your, outlet, is the bottle trade-in program. We can't actually say that it saved anybody, but if it did save one, it's been well worth
We
it.
sure have carried away truckloads of bottles. And you know what it is the bottle trade-in program. And I didn't realize this whenever I did this in the beginning, because basically we just gave up our profit margin, right? To give them a way to get rid of this bottle without selling it to someone. Because what happens is all racers are racing within, everybody lives within their budget, right?
Yep.
And so you're like, well, I could sell this to somebody for $100. Why would I trash it?
Yep.
Right? So we didn't want them to sell that to somebody. So we said, hey, we'll give you $100 for it towards a new one.
Yep.
And we're going to cut it up. And it's never going to be out there again.
Nope.
And I did not realize at the time the impact. It was supposed to be a temporary thing. Remember that? It was just going to be for that amount of time. And I remember my finance advisor going, what are you doing? And the program just never stopped. It just kept going. And it became something that I've seen bottles come through here that there's no doubt would have been sold to another racer.
Yep.
And we have removed so many bottles from circulation and given racers a financial way to do that without taking a total loss.
Yep. And the bad thing about it is, not only are you doing something that in my eyes is stand up, and a lot of the racing community needs to think of it in that manner, look at the criticism y'all receive because you're trying to do something that's right.
Right.
And that's
We have,
what's
and
crap.
it's all from, and I hate to say this, but it's from people that are ignorant. It really is. And I don't mean that as a derogatory thing. Ignorance is in lack of knowledge, right? They think, I've been torching my bottle.
Yeah.
It's 20 years out of date. It ain't never blown up. These guys are stupid. They're just trying to take advantage of me.
Yep.
I even got accused of repainting the bottles and reselling them as nitrous bottles. I think a year or two ago, we decided to turn them into trash cans.
Yeah, when you started, though, I actually asked right off the bat because I was fire-related, and I had made lamps out of fire extinguishers, the old brass fire extinguisher. And when you first started the trade-in program, I said, hey, could I get some of them to make lamps out of? You said, no, dude, we're cutting these some bitches up. Yeah. And I'm like, well, they're going to have hole drilled in them. You're like, no, dude, what we take in, we're cutting up, and they're going to be gone. Right. Because you want them to be gone.
Everybody's seeing these truckloads of bottles that we were scrapping. And I'm talking recertification places we're calling, wanting to buy them. I had sources of income that would have financially helped the company, but I was very adamant to the racer. It was a promise that this bottle will no longer be inserted. Yep. And so the way to ensure that didn't happen was to cut them up and haul them off. And then later in the scrapyard gives you $4 for it. I gave $100 for it. Scrapyard's going to give you about $4 for it. Yeah. Plus you had to cut it in half on a bandsaw. So you got payroll and you got tore up bandsaws and blades. And I finally decided, hey, let's turn them into trash cans. Yep. And then we did some toilet paper holders. You built some lamps.
Yep. Well, and they didn't go anywhere because I had no way to get them out there.
You still got them?
I still got two.
You should do that.
What I was wanting to do is I was going to take them to events. Yeah. Because the overhead of shipping them is going to be horrible. Right. So what I was wanting to do is whenever the next events that I attend, I was going to take a lamp and just do a drawing right there. They're cool. Dude, it is cool. Cool. It really was. All
right, so I know that people need to get moving.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. It's always a blast to talk to you, and I can't thank you enough for sharing your story, because if it changes one racer's program,
I agree.
That could be a potential life or lives saved, or keeping somebody from fighting the hurdles that you've had to fight.
You know what the craziest thing about it is, if you think about it, other than us discussing it on the phone and at your event when we were here raising money for the van and stuff like that, we've never sat and shared at the same time in the same room with other people around or hearing what we're discussing about it, anything about this. So it's kind of real to me. I guess you can say that I can't say I'm getting closure, but at least we're actually sharing the actual thing that happened.
Yeah, we've made posts and we've told bits and pieces that we've never said, hey.
Speculate and say, hey, this is a marketing ploy or something like that, or if they want to badmouth you because you're actually doing something to hopefully prevent anybody from being in my situation, and if they want to badmouth that or, have any negative thoughts toward that, I mean, these people need to step back and look at who the hell they are, because something's wrong. And that's just how I feel about it.
I think it's happened for so long that people just don't feel like it'll happen to them. Yeah. But you are a great example of a normal car guy, did nothing wrong, and boom. And I want to sum this up by, I work with tons of racetracks, right? Yep. I love all these racetrack owners. I work hand in hand with them. If I could accomplish one thing, it would be to tell these racetrack owners to make a stand with me and put a stop to the dangers that are going on right here. You're hearing a manufacturer tell you this is dangerous. Yep. Because you're not educating your customer and you're allowing out-of-date bottles and abused bottles around your facility, and it's going to kill somebody. And then you're going to lose your company because they're going to sue you. Yep. So hey, let's make a stand together and let's change this. I know that I'm not going to gain anybody's favoritism saying that. You know what I mean? Yeah. As a matter of fact, many track owners are going to hate that I'm really forcing this down everybody's throat. But I'm not going to lighten up, and it's for the better good of everybody else. So it's time for you to get it together and put a stop to these guys out there protect them from themselves.
Yep. Right? Before you go, if you don't mind, I'm going to put a bug in your ear because you do forget stuff too because you're old like me. Explain the bottle exchange program real quick before you leave.
Okay.
Let them know.
Bottle exchange program. Great. All right. Bottle exchange program. We will give you a $100 credit towards the purchase of a new bottle for your bottle. So it's giving you a way of taking bottles, whether they got bad valves, or maybe you just know, hey, maybe I want to change my program and I don't want to sell somebody this bomb, right? Or you have a bottle that the valve ain't that great, or whatever reason it
You
may
just
be.
want to upgrade, period.
Yeah, you just want to upgrade. We're going to help you not take a total loss on that bottle. We're going to give you $100 credit towards the purchase of a new bottle. You can trade in as many bottles as you want. I've had race teams that sent us pallets to get new bottles. And then at that point, you got a new updated bottle. We're going to follow this podcast up. Our friends up at Gizmo Guru are waiting for the opportunity to educate our racers, and we're gonna go in there and show that structure. It's kind of cool because it goes down off in a concrete tank, down off in the ground.
It's submerged.
And
It's a neat process. It really is.
So if it does give, it doesn't kill them.
Yeah, well, when you're there, be sure they have some bottles that are blown up. I mean, oxygen bottles, all kinds of bottles. Be sure and get pictures of them too, because it's eye-opening.
All right, so there you go.
I'm Blake. I'm out of here.
Blake, check out his YouTube one more time.
Bad Attitude C10, or go to www.badattitudeperformance.com.
And like, follow, subscribe, all of our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all that crap, right? Instagram, at Nitrous Outlet. And we will see